Hi guys, it's Jen from Jen and Zoe, and today I thought I would teach you about Australia in this Vader Vlogist video. So I have a few facts to help me along on my computer. So our official title is the Commonwealth of Australia. We are part of the Commonwealth countries and we're still tied to England and the Queen. She is the head of this country technically, and here we obviously have a Prime Minister, so we don't have a president like some other countries. This design here on our Australian flag is the Union Jack, and you'll see that on all Commonwealth countries' flags. So our capital city is actually Canberra. I know a lot of people get confused and think Sydney is our capital city, but it's not. They actually chose Canberra because it's halfway between Sydney and Melbourne, which were rising, in population when we were first settled. So our other major cities are, so we've got Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth, Hobart and Darwin. We have 5 states and 2 territories, and the majority of Australia is desert land with little water. So majority of the middle of our country is all desert. Most of our population live along the coastline, and more so along the east and down the bottom, and a little bit over the bottom in Western Australia. So our overall population at the moment is around 22 million, and our climate differs greatly from the top of Australia to the bottom. The bottom is closer to Antarctica, so it is a lot colder down there, and the top is closer to the equator, so it can be a bit more humid. The sort of in-between bits get more of the 4 seasons for the weather. So I'm in Queensland, but I am down the bottom part of Queensland. So we get a humid sort of summer, but and a not so cold winter. Cool, like you still need jumpers and stuff, but not freezing. So some popular tourist areas, any of the beaches, they're great. And the Great Barrier Reef, which is along the east side of Australia, up towards the top, off the side of Queensland. And the Sydney Opera House. Sydney has quite a few things. And of course there's Ayers Rock. Australia's first people were the Aborigines, and it is believed about 70,000 years ago that they have migrated from Africa through to Asia, and then made it from Asia through down to Australia about 50,000 years ago. So Australia was settled in 1788 in a place called Sydney Cove, and that was on January 26. January 26 is now called our Australia Day, so we celebrate that as Australia Day, a bit like, I guess, the 4th of July in America. And we were founded in 1901. So really it was only just over 100 years ago that Australia was founded. The name Australia was come up with because we come from European settlement, and the Europeans, the explorers that were discovering Australia from about 1606 onwards till 1788, when we actually had the first fleet come through, they decided to call it Terra Australis, which basically meant South Land of the Unknown. I'll get this right one day. But yes, so it was nicknamed Terra Australis, and from that came Australia. So there were many misunderstandings between the first settlers and the indigenous Aboriginal Australians. The settlers came through and sort of acted like they owned the place, and took no notice really of the Aborigines. And the Aborigines had a very different mindset in their culture. They shared things, and just, their whole culture is based also on the Dreamtime, which is a set of stories that they pass down from generation to generation. So there were many misunderstandings with the first settlers and the Aboriginals that were the Indigenous Australians. The settlers came through and acted like they owned the place pretty much, and disregarded the Aborigines. And it was thought that there was anywhere up to 1 million Aborigines in Australia when the first settlers came, but through some conflict and disease that the settlers brought to Australia, that the Aboriginals had, no contact with, being a very isolated continent. Their population dwindled quite a bit. There's probably about, I think I've read, about 350,000 Aboriginals still in Australia today. Some other facts about Australia are that we have about 40 million kangaroos in Australia. That's like double our human population. Majority of the kangaroos, though, are, in more isolated regions, but there are some close to civilization. There's some kangaroos that live not far from where we are. And we also have quite a fair few more sheep than kangaroos. We have about 140 million sheep. So there's a lot of farming in Australia that goes on, and we export quite a lot of wool. Also, Australia has one of the longest fences in the world. The fence is known as the Dingo Fence, and it is 5,000 kilometres long almost, and 1.8 metres tall with no gaps. So it runs through the middle of Queensland and was built to protect the sheep from the dingo. And the dingo is an Australian kind of dog, just wild. Australia is also a very multicultural place, but our predominant religion is Catholic and Christian. And we have some of the most rarest species of animals and reptiles in the world, from being so isolated from other places. We also have some of the most dangerous reptiles, dangerous snakes, dangerous spiders, and some of those are in places where we do live, in Queensland and New South Wales especially, and others are more in the outback where it's more desert. So we also have some unique animals that you don't find anywhere else, which is emus, kangaroos, platypuses, koalas. So So most Australians love this sport. We do have a few things that are unique to us, and one of them is, this is an AFL, a little play footy, an AFL footy. So we have Australian rules football, and that's quite different than any other football in the rest of the world, and that's very popular. And during the summer, cricket is popular. And we also have rugby, which is a bit more like American football, where you run with the ball. With AFL, you kick it to the person and the person marks it. That's a basic understanding anyway. And I'd have to say Australians are one of the most friendly bunches of people I know. And yes, it is true, we are a convict nation. Australia was settled by a large number of convicts. A large number of them in the late 18th and 19th century were sent to Australia to alleviate pressure on correctional facilities in Great Britain. Some other things I'd like to finish off with are Australians are some of the friendliest people I have met in the world, and I think generally we are a hardworking lot and a very loyal lot too. Mateship is a very used term, especially in the sporting world in Australia. We're usually very laid back. We like the outdoors. Hello, Alex. I have Alex joining me. Hey, she's holding the footy. And what was I saying? And yeah, we use a lot of slang. Also, we seem to shorten words and make them easier to pronounce. Some examples are, instead of saying sausage, we call them snags a lot of the time. And Brisbane and Melbourne, we say them Brisbane and Melbourne. But I notice a lot of Americans say it Melbourne or Melbourne. They pronounce the R. We seem to not pronounce a lot of words the way you see them. And contrary to some belief, unless you live in rural or near rural areas, or the desert, we don't have a whole bunch of kangaroos just hopping around our front yard. Our general living in the suburbs is just like, I guess, most places around the world, general living. And yes, us Aussies like a good laugh, and yeah, we like a big prankster lot of people too. We like to pull pranks. So that is about that. I really hope you enjoyed some facts about Australia and learnt a bit more that you might not have known. And I think I'll show you the flag also. So hold on a sec. So lastly, this is the Australian flag. So in the top left-hand corner, we have the Union Jack, and that is on all Commonwealth countries. It's just basically England's flag, really. And then the rest of it, these stars over here are just randomly placed. They are from the solar system down in the southern hemisphere. We have a collection of stars unique to down here that you can see from here, and that's called the Southern Cross. So that is the flag. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed these facts about Australia, and I hope I taught you a little bit more. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below, or if you've done a similar video about this from where you live, I'd like to see it. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye. You get the flag. You get the flag. Yes. Alex. Hello. Oh, you're going to start crawling soon.